So here we go again. Rees-Mogg claiming civil servants are blocking new policy in Whitehall review. This is, him claiming they're blocking Brexit again. So he's got someone to blame, as always. It's never his fault, because, people like him don't make mistakes. Civil servants have been accused of blocking Brexit laws as Mogg launches a major review of Whitehall. The probe instigated by Mogg will investigate whether ministers' decisions are being properly implemented. Isn't that ministers' jobs? To make sure that their decisions are being properly implemented? This is whether officials are extracting maximum value from taxpayers, and again, that's down to cabinet ministers and also senior, cabinet secretaries as well. It comes amid concerns among cabinet ministers that civil servants are standing in the way of government policies by dragging their feet over enacting policies they disagree with. I mean, this is a load of baloney. It's a load of baloney. Ministers should know what is and what is not being implemented, and they could pull on civil servants and say, look, why hasn't this been done yet? I should get this done yesterday. It's not been done yet. And that's where it goes through disciplinary. This is ridiculous. Over the last few years, there have been a growing feeling that while parts of the civil service have gotten bigger, have they gotten more effective? And again, just because you're hiring more people doesn't make it a more efficient system. But again, these are things that ministers should have, really gotten locked down years ago. Are ministers' decisions being properly taken forward? Are things agreed at cabinet actually happening? Again, these are things a minister should be figuring out here. You don't need a cabinet investigation into this. Is the machine standing in the way of things happening by our elected government? Again, that's baloney. Genuine baloney. The cabinet source pointed to the Brexit Opportunities Bill aimed at getting decades worth of red tape axed from the statute books. These are former EU rules, or EU era rules, we could call them, as an example of a policy which has been frustrated by pushback from civil servants. Okay, first of all, you're trying to go through 24,000 bits of legislation. Even cabinet ministers have pushed back against this one. And also the fact that you're trying to cut the civil service. How can you implement new policies, right, and new ideas, also trying to get them to review all of this other red tape? It's ridiculous. Officials in certain government departments, particularly Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy and the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, are understood to have complained about the volume of work required to go through thousands of complex regulations, because you're giving civil servants a massive amounts of work to do, right? And you're trying to cut the numbers. So what the problem is, the government are effectively asking them to do so many different tasks, and they can't do them all. And that's what's causing hold-ups. And the government are like, oh, why our policy is being implemented? It's because you're asking them to do ridiculous amounts of work. That's why. The source also pointed to Whitehall officials attempting to block government policies like the decision to pause the civil service fast track, under which more than 1,000 university graduates are brought into government each year. I mean, okay, that's fine. The civil servants, if the government have told them to pause the fast track scheme, civil servants should be listening to that. That's fine. That will go through recruitment, though. You don't necessarily need to malign all the civil servants for it. It's just whoever's in charge of recruitment. The decision to include the fast stream into the headcount reduction took weeks to get agreed, despite the fact that the PM said it at cabinet. The source said it took weeks to get agreed. Are you talking about to agree how many numbers should be cut, etc., and things like that? That's not that bad. My cat's having a meltdown. A couple of weeks. It took weeks for them to, get rid of this program or cut it down at least. That's not that long. What do you want them to do it in a day or something? To agree all the numbers and stuff like that. And what if the cabinet civil servants said, look, we need X amount of civil servants still to keep things going because people have left or whatever? It's just ridiculous. The Telegraph reported last month there were deep disquiet about the proposals among permanent secretaries, the officials who head up each government department. And these are the people who should be held liable for any problems with civil servants. With senior mandarins pressing Simon Case, the cabinet secretary, to scrap the plans because obviously they want more people in because they've got more work to do. You've told them to go through 2,400 bits of legislation, EU-era legislation, right? And now you're asking them to cut the numbers so there's less of them. So you're asking them to do for more work. You're asking them to do a lot more work with less people. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to go down very well in any business. Earlier this year, Mogg said the government would reduce its civil service headcount by about 65,000 people. I think it's about a fifth or something like that. It's a ridiculous amount of people, right? It's madness. Probably not a fifth, given the numbers we see here, but it's a significant amount of people they're trying to cut, and you're asking them to do a lot more work. Something's going to give here. The Whitehall Review, which will be chaired by Lord Mogg, former Cabinet Office Minister, will consult a range of experts on how to make the government more efficient. And again, this is a man who's in charge of efficiency and Brexit opportunities. He's got nothing to show for Brexit opportunities. That's why he's going for this. That's why he's going for, trying to make the civil service more efficient, because he's got nothing to show for his time in government. That's it. And, by the time this report is done, he probably won't be a cabinet minister anymore, because I wouldn't be surprised if they let him go. But then again, it depends who wins, Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak. Point being is that he doesn't know what he's doing. That's the truth of it. Permanent secretaries are the ones responsible for this. They should be the ones who have been asked, why aren't our policies being implemented? Who's dragging their heels, etc. Instead, you're asking this other person, this lord, to do a full-on review about it when that doesn't need to happen. If there are any issues in certain departments, they should pull the permanent secretary and say, look, I wanted these policies done yesterday. Why haven't they been done yet? What's going on? Especially when you combine that with the fact that they want to, review all of EU-era legislation. They want to review all of it and see which bits can be cut and things like that. I mean, that's a significant amount of work for any workforce. And so what he's got is a two-pronged attack on the civil servants, which isn't going to help. Cutting the numbers and asking them to do more work. Classic Conservative business. That's what they do to all government departments, don't they? That's what they do to all nationalised industries. Get them to do more work with less staff and just burn them out. And then maybe they'll end up privatising the civil service. Who knows? Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.